And hello to you. I am Kim McAllister in for Nikki Maduro. I'll tell you what, before I could even get myself in the door, Andreas is already donating to the cause. So huge thank you already to Andreas for kicking in $20 for the Nikki Maduro show. Nikki may pop in with us today, and I'm hoping that happens. But if she's busy in the hospital, of course, she's got to, put all that first, and we completely understand. But Andreas, I have to tell you, and Mark said it earlier, we have all been thinking about you and what you're going through, and I'm delighted to hear that your 94-year-old mom is recovering. So that's really wonderful. Andreas also writing today, Nikki, I hope your daughter is having a speedy recovery as my 94-year-old mom. We hope so as well. The surgery went really well for Nikki's daughter. They had to get her eating again and up and walking. So, in the last couple of days, that has been the challenge to get that all done. And the hope is that sometime this weekend, they will be released from the hospital, able to go home and kind of get things back to normal. So thank you, Andreas, for kicking into the program. Do want to thank our founding sponsor. That's tax attorney Steve Moskowitz. He's at 888 Tax Deal and at moskowitzllp.com. Of course, Steve Moskowitz stepping up to sponsor the show right after everything happened at Station X. And on top of that, he is just the most wonderful guy. So he does a great job finding people money, doing things that are all legal, but he's able to help you with your taxes, with your tax problems, kind of take a load off of your mind if you've been in some trouble with the IRS. And also, he does more than that. He does human resources type things as well. So his company can help you if you are starting a business, figure out what kind of insurance you want to offer. How to plan for your taxes for your business and other things. So Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal at moskowitzllp.com. And like Andreas did, the super chat is live. You can donate if you are so motivated to do that. We also have a Patreon open for the Nikki Maduro Show. You can find Patreon and PayPal links at thenickymaduroshow.com. And we appreciate anything you can do. And sometimes that's just a very free thing, which is clicking the like button, the little thumbs up button there on YouTube to say that you're here, that you're with us, and that you're enjoying the program. So we appreciate that as well. And really, I appreciate you being here, even though Nikki's not here. It's very kind of you to hang out with me. And again, I'm going to rely on what you have to say in the chat room heavily today. It's one of those things that we used to be able to take phone calls when we were on the radio and really hear what you had to say. And that part of the program might be missing. I think we've made up for it by allowing these wonderful relationships to form in the chat room. And that's something we didn't have the opportunity to do when people were just texting in on the radio or calling in. You never really got to have the back and forth with other viewers or listeners. So that's something kind of special that's happened here that I really like. Yeah, thank you guys so much for being here. I can't even tell you how much I appreciate you. So let's start by talking about some things. Mark touched on the Half Moon Bay shooter situation, and I wanted to do the same because I want to really dig into. First of all, let me start by saying there is never, in my mind, any excuse that would justify harming or killing anyone else. But for a while now, it seems like every time we've talked about a mass shooting, we've looked at the motivation of the suspect and wondered, well, did they do it because they were angry, and who were they angry with? And, you know, it, you kind of think, well, does that justify what happened? No, never could. In this case, the suspect told NBC Bay Area reporter Janelle Wang that he'd been bullied by people there. I think when you're being bullied by someone or people, or maybe feeling like you're put down, or feeling like over time you're angry, do you think now, after so many mass shootings and after talking about being bullied so often, that you have a responsibility to get help? And I know people are poor and it's hard to find work, especially with the massive layoffs happening around the Bay Area and the country. But do you have a responsibility then to check out and put yourself in a better situation where you're not mentally being pushed down over and over again? I mean, I've known people that I've worked with that have felt like the job was weighing on them mentally. And so they left and they found something else. Is there I mean, do you take bullying as an excuse, or do you say you have the responsibility to put yourself in a safer mental space, and it's not the bullies, it's you? I don't know. I just don't find bullying anymore to be something I accept. Mm. Uh, the lady Beatrice says mass shootings are never ever justified. I agree. Uh, Shot up every place when where I was bullied, I'd be in jail if I did that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I agree. I mean, I think people think, oh, that's the poor person. There's only certain people that are bullied. I think everyone has been in a place where they felt maybe disrespected, you could say, if not out and out bullied. And do we use the word bullied too much? Mo Direct, he was treated like all foreign farm workers, kept in the dark, fed nothing but fit nothing. I think you mean fed nothing but crap, long days, discriminated to the cultural variations. Maybe, but I don't know. I think that even so, no matter how you're treated, you have to be able to either handle it or put yourself in a different situation because maybe you don't know what you're capable of until that day happens. I don't know. I do think though I was reading earlier, we get to this other story, that the situation at this farm in Half Moon Bay, apparently this is not the first time where someone has opened fire at this or one of the same farms. There's a story today coming from ABC 7 News in San Francisco that this deadly Half Moon Bay shooting was the second at the Terra Garden in the last 7 months. According to ABC 7, there are new details coming out about the situation here. It's now called California Terra Garden, but I guess it was previously known as Mountain Mushroom Farm. In July of 2022, it was the scene of another shooting. The victim and the suspect in that incident, both managers at this farm, Mountain Mushroom, now California Terra. The two men lived in trailers on the farm. They had an ongoing work related tension. That also says something to me about living where you work because you never get away from work, right? You never take a mental break from it because you're always there. You're living there. You're just never able to check out and you know get a break from what's going on at your workplace. The DA's office says in this 2022 July shooting that the victim was in his home when he heard the suspect banging on his front door, threatening to kill him and his family. And then the suspect fired a gun through the victim's glass door. The deputies later arrested the suspect who smelled of alcohol, denied the shooting, allegedly. So that was one incident where you had gunfire and a incident of violence at this workplace. And now this one, where a worker allegedly opens fire, killing 7 people, injuring another. Um, but what does it say about the tension at that place? The tension in that workplace where you have people moved to violence? You know, the police say that an official motive hasn't been given for the most recent incident there. 66-year-old Chun Li Zhao, the suspect, they say he was allegedly taunted with an offensive nickname that may have fueled his anger, leading to the attack. Um, and so, yeah, the right now, apparently, the focus helping on people there healing, maybe finding another place to be. I don't know. The state looking into farms, according to Governor Gavin Newsom's office, after the shooting as far as how the workers are being treated, whether they're being treated fairly, whether they're living in deplorable conditions, or whether they're getting compassion that they need. Governor Gavin Newsom said he has heard about the living conditions there, and he also said, and I think it needs to be investigated because I'm not sure if it's true, that workers were being paid $9 an hour on that farm. Well, the state minimum wage in California is $15.50 an hour. So to pay someone $9 an hour would be against the law. The governor saying many workers have no choice but to tolerate the conditions provided to them by their employers. Our country relies on their backbreaking work, but Congress can't even provide them the stability of raising their families and working in this country without fear of deportation, that contributing to their vulnerability in the workplace. And that, he said, is no way to live. So, yeah, I think an investigation needs to be done into how these people are being paid and how they're being made to live out on that farm. The whole thing, though, really just it's hard to think about, and again, nothing ever is justifying violence, but there's right now a whole bunch of people living and working on these farms, work which many of us would never even consider doing, couldn't do physically, probably. And they're there. They're living out there on these farms in conditions that maybe you wouldn't tolerate. Uh, I certainly wouldn't want to raise my kids out in the middle of a farm where there may be pesticides and there may be other people at work I don't want my kids around, all kinds of things to think about. Lady Beatrice again saying, I've been taunted in all sorts of ways. No reason to shoot up a place if a person is being discriminated and the boss does nothing. Hire a lawyer, sue the bastards. I would agree with that, except that I think if you're in a situation, the Lady Beatrice, where being paid $9 an hour, right? And you're poor and you're looking around and you don't have many options, and hiring a lawyer is expensive. Maybe English is a second language, or you don't speak English at all. And so, how do you navigate the legal system? How do you know what to do? How do you know that you have any recourse at all? That's a challenge for people. So I mean, while I say get yourself out of that situation, I realize that for many people they feel stuck. It's really hard. No matter which way you cut it, it's very difficult. I you want to think maybe that the company would be looking into it. But if there's a company that's providing these conditions that have, tension at work and already a shooting in July, they should have already talked to everybody. They should have had a counselor out there talking to people. How do you feel? How's work going? Are you happy here? That type of a situation. Because once you have one incident of violence, I think you have a duty to really respect your workers by making sure everyone's doing okay. Let's talk to Mo. He says to make waves within the environment, I was the economic slave drone worker, put the source of income at risk, destabilize the existence and equilibrium needed by an individual to survive. Yeah, I see what you're saying. It's hard to come forward when this is your livelihood and you don't really have anything else. So, Floyd says hiring a lawyer for your farm worker, not going to happen. And they probably know that too, don't you think? They probably figure these people don't know how to, they're not going to go hire a lawyer. They don't have any recourse. Doesn't really matter. Just, do the work, pick the things, drive the forklift and get on with their business. John says, what about the fear of being deported that undocumented people feel? That's a really good point. I'm glad you brought it up, John, because I hadn't thought about that. Because for me, I think here in California, if you come forward now, I don't know if we're a sanctuary state or San Francisco is just a sanctuary city, but I think in most cases, if you come forward, you call the police about something happening, or you go see a lawyer to uncover some type of injustice, you don't really have a risk of being deported in California anymore, right? If you commit a crime, perhaps, and the police find that you're here illegally and you've committed a crime, well, then you've got a problem. But just coming forward, going to hire a lawyer. Now, I know that, and you might know that, but I don't know if a lot of people who are fearing in a spot where they have to fear deportation would know that. Maybe for them, they think anything that highlights them or puts them in the spotlight is something that jeopardizes their presence here in this country. Lori writes, a lot of this type of worker is disenfranchised in at least one way, so it's not very easy to get help. I think just probably Lori, the taking that step to get help is is a horrible situation for people. They don't even ever get to that point. Judy says people who have never been bullied and ostracized for years don't know what it's like. That's true, Judy, but why would you accept being bullied and ostracized for years? I get people have to make a living and that this is where the money is coming from. And maybe you feel like you couldn't get another job, but at least try to get another job if you feel like you are being put down and constantly disrespected and, as you say, ostracized for years. When does it get to the point where you check out? Where you're thinking, "This is worse than I had it in my birth country," or, "This is worse than I ever thought it would be. This is my life is miserable, and I don't wanna do this anymore." Where do you get to the point where you have that, mental revelation, and no matter what, even if it's a paycheck, that you have to put your mental health first? I mean, I don't think I could tolerate, as you say, being bullied and ostracized for years and years and years. I mean, how much can a person take? And when does it become your responsibility to get yourself out of it? So, Lori also writes, if we have a state minimum wage, how is this enforced? Is there an agency to go around to businesses to check? I think usually it would be a worker who says, "Hey, wait a minute. You can't pay me $9 an hour if the state minimum wage is 15.50, right?" And so it's a worker that calls the State Department of Labor and complains. But again, if you're someone that doesn't speak the language and doesn't know that there's a State Department of Labor that would be able to even help you, then here's what happens, that you're kind of held down and kept down because you don't have the knowledge to get yourself out of the situation. Nick is saying most consumers are too far removed from the tragic foundations of their purchased comforts. We are insulated from our complicity. And I don't know what that means. TPTB want to keep us that way because change means that they lose power. Yeah. I think you're right about people not really ever thinking. You don't pop a strawberry in your mouth and think about how you got it, how and where it came from. All the people that are bending over in the fields to pick it, and then what happens to them after they are back at their trailer on the farm. You don't. None of us think about that every day. So does that mean we're complicit in it? Does that mean that if every consumer should stand up for the rights of farm workers? Maybe that's the way we have to do it. Uh, Nem N says, it's easier said than done. Ron Cook says, I think he was from China. Just think if you got dropped off in China, you'd be lost. I would absolutely be lost. Yes, I don't speak their language. No, I wouldn't know what to do. I wouldn't know that I had recourse. I wouldn't know what the minimum wage was unless somebody tells me, right? But I also probably wouldn't go there because I'm happy in my home country. I wouldn't, you know, leave seeking work in another place, seeking safety in another place. The United States is not China. So I understand why you would want to leave China, why you would come here to seek work. This is something something needs to be done to help people that are in this spot, to give them information. We should maybe consider, and I think Governor Gavin Newsom is on it, uh, some type of help for farm workers to get them to know, what their conditions should be, what their pay should be, things that maybe we hadn't thought of before, being thought of after this mass shooting. If there's any silver lining to some type of horrible violence, maybe it's help for people that are, uh, I don't want to say being oppressed, but definitely in a bad spot. The lady Beatrice says, you'd think if he was an immigrant, he'd have been smarter about how he handled the situation and not commit crimes. I think you get, in this particular point, I see what you're saying, that if you don't want to highlight yourself to be deported by going to get help, then why would you want to highlight yourself by committing a crime? But maybe, as the other listener viewer said, after years of being ostracized and put down, there was a moment where that's no longer your top concern. Staying in America, being allowed to continue to do what you're doing, you don't care anymore. That you've just had it, that you snap or whatever happens in this case. I just feel like, I'm a big proponent of red flag laws. I'm also a proponent of what steps that we can take to stop this type of violence before it starts. And if now we know we have a problem with the way people are being treated on farms and the way people are living on farms, that people aren't being, the laws aren't being followed, then I think we have to get in front of that, and make sure that people are being treated fairly and that this type of thing doesn't happen there again. At least try to do that much for people. Um, Lori writes, no, your brain chemistry is changed by trauma. Sounds easy to say, not to do. People either go inward or lash out. So it's either hurt yourself or hurt other people. Well, that's sad, isn't it? Not very happy to talk about that. Um, they say the worker gets bullied if he calls for help, possibly. But I mean, maybe getting fired by this place would be a blessing. I don't know. Many times these guys are hired by the same speaking organizers who tell them what they'll get paid. And if they go against them, they just get fired. That's from Ron. From Tony in San Antonio. Hey, Tony. No one is saying it's okay to bring violence if you're bullied. We do need to know what the motive is behind it. Bullying is the motive, so stop it. Not easy for someone to just leave. Yeah, maybe it's easier said than done, Tony. I just feel like if I was in that place where I was constantly, feeling like bad about myself because of everybody else, that I would think to get out of that situation. Walnut Creek adult softball, continual bullying chips away at your self esteem. Add in being an immigrant farm worker who's already looked down on, bad psychological, emotional state. Hmm. Yeah, I think it does chip away at your self esteem. Irene, how does one turn in your employer when your family home is on the workplace property? That's true, because not only are you beholden to them for your paycheck, you're beholden to them for your house, right? For your trailer, however rotten it may be. Then you're out on the street with your family. Then what? You got a point, Irene. Thank you for that text chat today. 1550 minimum wage applies to workers filling at least filing a W-2 or a 1099. That's the whole reason to pay under the table. I mean, I guess you would, if you were going against breaking the law and paying someone $9 an hour, I guess you would have to pay them under the table, because if you submitted paperwork documenting that you were breaking the law in your minimum wage or non-minimum wage payment, that would get you in trouble. So you might be right, Andrew. Let's take a few more texts before we change the topic. Lady Beatrice, bullying should be a federal offense. I don't know how you prove it, though. I mean, you really have to be able to make the case. A misdemeanor, unless the bullying led to people, then it should be a felony. You mean led to people opening fire or something? Then it would be a felony. I think that one might be a hard one to legislate. I don't know. Lori says again, you and most North Americans were born and grew up with the knowledge that you have rights, right? It's not true of people in many other countries. They have not internalized the assumption that they have any kind of rights. I think that's so important, Lori, because I'm looking at it from my white American viewpoint, and I don't have the experiences that an immigrant has. I don't have the upbringing, and as you say, not having grown up with just it being accepted and automatic that I would have rights. So I think you've hit a wonderful point there, that no matter how much we try to think about why and how we can stop this type of thing, there's some things that we just never really understand. So. Thank you for all of your comments on this topic. I really appreciate your thoughts. Such good conversations happen in the chat room. And as Mark does, I go back later on and I read them. And did you know you can also leave a comment? If you happen to watch the recorded version of the show, there's an area on YouTube where you can still leave a comment for us. And we'll often go back and read those as well and make comments. Let's move to the Pacific Ocean turning pink. Did you guys see this story? It's a couple days old, but the pictures are really cool. So I wanted to show you this photo, and this is because of research being done. But check this out: parts of the ocean turning pink. How cool is that? Oh, I'm sorry, Lori. I left your comment up. We'll take it off there. Look at that. That's kind of cool. This is because of a research study being done that the scientists have dyed part of the ocean, of course, not the whole Pacific Ocean, but part of the ocean pink as they study, it looks like tide patterns and such. So, yeah, here's what they have to say. So, this is researchers from UC San Diego, and it was the first in a series of experiments involving dyeing immense quantities of seawater off the coast of a local beach. They decided to go with pink. Red, maybe a little too gory. Pink, though, kind of a happier color. Um, so they're studying how small freshwater outflows interact with the surf zone. Researchers interested in tracking plumes of fresh water's interaction with the breaking waves of heavier seawater. So, how these encounters pan out, they say, could provide key insights into depositing of foreign materials like sediments and often pollutants and runoff that we often know is full of human waste into the ocean via estuaries. So we see this all the time, where the rivers meet the sea, and that's usually an area where things get polluted. They say the pink pigment that you can see here in the picture usually makes the plumes of fresh water easier to track to the naked eye and the instruments that they're using, like drones and ground bound sensors. They will be accompanied by submerged sensors measuring things like the height of the waves, the water temperature, and all that kind of stuff. So, this is at Torrey Pines State Beach. They're saying, look, if you're out there and the water looks a little pink, don't worry, it's non-toxic. It's okay. They're doing the pink dye just for a research study. No worries on that. So yeah, interesting. But I think the picture of the pink ocean is a little bit interesting as scientists study it there. Let's see what you guys have to say about that. It's the red tide. No, it's not the red tide. Oh my gosh. No, it's not. Oh, the picture was blurry. I'm sorry. It was chunks of the ocean that were pink. Oh, Lady Beatrice spoken like someone who does laundry. That's not going to be easy to get out. Should have gone with green phosphorus. The fresh water is dyed, not the ocean. No, I know, Beth, but then it goes out into the ocean and it looks like you have pink waves. Some of the pictures I saw online had the actual pink tinge to the waves coming into Torrey Pines State Beach. Mo writes, the pink with illuminate the variations of buoyancy as the fresh water mixes with the salt water. Yeah, it's all very sciencey, but I think it's kind of cool that they're doing that. And I don't know, for some reason, I kind of like that they picked pink, turn the ocean pink. As long as it's not toxic and doesn't hurt any sea creatures, I think that's pretty good. Okay, let's do some news, then we'll get back to some more stories. I have some more environmental stories to talk to you guys about and some fun things regarding The Simpsons. I don't know if you heard that story. We'll get to that. Also, I want to mention to you that we have Tim Sika rolling in today at 1:30 with a look at all the latest movies and his reviews on that. And again, at any moment, Nikki could pop in from the hospital. And if she does, we will be sure to check in with her. But right now, see if I can play the music. Sorry, you guys. I know it's just me. I'm a one-man band. So give me a little bit of a reprieve on judgment. You know how I like to judge. Don't judge me. See if I can get the News Czar music. Here we go.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Maduro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
Oh, that never gets old. Okay, so this report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal. Let's get to the news. Law enforcement agencies across Memphis are in high alert. They're on high alert, rather, because of the expectation of the release of a video tonight. And that is the video of the beating death of a young man in Tennessee. This is going to be released, the beating of Tyree Nichols at the hands of police officers that later resulted in his death. The video is set to be released some point after 6 p.m. Central Time. His family is asking for people to be peaceful, not to protest and commit acts of violence when this video is released. And Tyree Nichols' mom also said this is not a video that children should be watching, that it is violent and that it is not something she wants people to see. Yes, she is giving a warning about the video coming out. Rovon Wells is her name. And she says she hasn't seen it, but she's been told that it's very horrific. She went on to warn parents, don't let your kids watch that. I wouldn't. I think a lot of people give their kids access to the internet and back off and don't look at what they're watching. What's interesting is how much I do try to prevent my kids from seeing things on the internet, how I limit and monitor. But yet last night, and this is not related to news, so sorry if I digress a moment. Last night, my son started to cry. And I said, "What's wrong?" He said, "I'm thinking about the people in Ukraine and the Ukrainian war." He's 8 years old. He's talking about the war versus Russia and the Ukraine. He's asking why it isn't stopped. He wants to know why countries kill people. Why is this happening? Whew, heavy and deep for an 8-year-old. He says he heard it on the radio, a story on the radio, which I never often put the news on the radio because I think sometimes it can be heavy for kids because they don't understand what's happening. Um, but yeah, and I just to think of kids watching this video of this man being beat to death is really hard for me to stomach as well because I don't know if they really understand what they're seeing. It's just it would be disturbing for me to have that happen. Meanwhile, more video of an attack. This is on former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband is out. The California Democrat not interested in seeing any of that, she said. She told reporters on Capitol Hill she hasn't heard the 911 call. She doesn't want to see this attack that left her husband badly injured. I think the curiosity in me would get the better of me, even if it's probably good, especially if it's your own husband, that you would not want to see that video because then you could kind of see it replaying in your mind over and over again. I thought today about whether I wanted to show you the video, which has been released due to a judge saying that it needs to be put into the public domain. And I decided not to show the video. I did, though, uh, decide to show pictures of the video. And you can kind of see in this case how it went down. Most of the video, by the way, is police wandering around the front, kind of listening to see if they can hear anything inside. Once the door opens, you can see Paul Pelosi, who's in the gray shirt, and the attacker there struggling over the hammer. I know that's kind of a blurry picture as well. And it's really then a matter of seconds. And it almost seems, and I hate to say it, it almost seems escalated by the police opening the door and shining a light. And that is when this man attacks. They go behind the door as the police go in, and it's just a matter of seconds that this whole thing goes down and is over. But I completely understand why Nancy Pelosi wouldn't want to see what I saw this morning when I watched the video. That's a rough one. Yeah, I think if it was one of my loved ones, it would be a good idea not to see it, but I wouldn't be able to help myself, you know? The House approving a bill to limit the president's authority to release oil from the nation's emergency reserve. The bill requiring the federal government to develop a plan to increase oil production in order to draw from that reserve. It passed largely along party lines, squarely aimed at President Biden's handling of spiking gas prices last year. Meanwhile, the Biden administration says more than 16 million people were fully approved for its student loan forgiveness program. 16 million people will get loan help. Some 26 million applied or were automatically deemed eligible to have up to $20,000 of their federal student loan canceled. But the program is currently on hold pending a Supreme Court decision on whether or not it could move forward. So 16 million people approved and on hold, waiting to see whether they get the help they need or not. Ford recalling more than 40,000 vehicles, its SUVs from 2020 to 2023, may have faulty rear-view cameras linked to at least 17 accidents. Oh no. Now, none of those accidents involved injuries, but I don't know about you. I rely on that rear-view camera sometimes, and it's so helpful, especially when parallel parking or backing out of a driveway just to make sure that nobody's there. So, uh, eh, to have it not function properly, that's pretty dangerous. So 17 accidents there, and you've got a recall underway. There was a story I wanted to get to, and I'm sorry I didn't pull it for you guys, but See if I can find it. I wanted to talk a little bit about people leaving San Francisco because apparently there are more people leaving San Francisco. Yet again, we've heard this story, and now here we have it. The entire Bay Area lost population during the second year of the pandemic. The city of San Francisco hit its lowest level in a decade with about 834,000 residents. That means about 4,400 people moved between July of 2021 and 22. It's a smaller drop than it was the year before. New data released yesterday shows most packed up for cheaper housing options. Marin apparently seeing the largest population drop. So, proof that people are checking out or have checked out of California. A mattress Mac is placing a huge bet on the Dallas Cowboys. The retail furniture store owner putting $2 million in cash down at the Caesars Sportsbook in Louisiana. Oh, that makes me so nervous. I mean, I guess if you have it to spend, go ahead. But he is putting 2 million down on the Dallas Cowboys. Should they win against the 49ers Sunday? He lost it. That game's over. He lost it. He bet 10 million on the Astros to win the World Series. That wager netted him nearly 75 million. A big sports better. Sorry for reading that story. That's a little outdated. Yeah, he lost $2 million on that game. Ouch. Okay, here's a current story. How about this one? Archaeologists say they found a mummy covered in gold leaf inside a sarcophagus that hadn't been opened for more than 4,000 years. It is thought to be one of the oldest and most complete non royal corpses ever found in Egypt. It was discovered Thursday at a burial ground 20 miles south of Cairo. The site was what the ancient Egyptian capital, Memphis, that's where it was, home to more than a dozen pyramids. One is called the Step Pyramid, near where the shaft containing the mummy was found. Who opened that sarcophagus? Who was the one that took that chance? Aren't you supposed to have bad luck if you're the one that actually opens it? I don't know. This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz. For more than 30 years, Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and for businesses. So if you do need help with your taxes, please call Steve Moskowitz. He's at 888 Tax Deal and MoskowitzLLP.com. I needed a little cough break there. This is the Nikki Maduro Show. Nikki Maduro with her daughter in the hospital as her daughter recovers from surgery. So we're sending all the good vibes, good thoughts, prayers if that's your thing as well, their way, hoping that she gets better. My hair's all tweaked out. But we thank you for being here on the Nikki Maduro Show with us and for participating in the chat, for clicking the like button, for donating, for doing all the things that you do to make this show a success. Hopefully Nikki will be back next week. That is the general plan. So I am hoping that is the case. I don't know how long the music goes on. Kind of like it though. All right, we'll turn it off. Let's check in with the chat because I know you guys always have a lot of comments during the news, and you know what? I never get to read them during the news. So yeah, Kim, he's already lost it. He lost that money. They're out. Absolutely. Thank you, Beth Farmer. Beth Farmer donating $49.99. I might actually cry. A super sticker. Beth, you're so kind. Very, very grateful for all that you've done for the show. I know this isn't your first donation. $49.99 today with a super sticker. You are so appreciated. Thank you for doing that. Of course, you can see the little heart with the dollar sign here if you'd like to donate as well. And I'll show you the website again where we have Patreon set up. Also, we have PayPal set up. So you can donate if you want to. And that is on thenikkimaduroshow.com. You have to put the in there. So thank you for that. We appreciate it. Let's see if we can get some more chats in here. The mummy story is amazing, writes Flo. But I just leave it be. Just ask Indiana Jones. That's what I think. Don't touch the sarcophagus. Don't be the first guy into the pyramid. Don't do it. Yes, Wes, the ancient curse, right? Uh, Mo says, "Was that one of the people who owns Whole Food just down the block?" It's probably, yeah, it probably is. Ron says, "Get well soon, Mini Nikki." She is. She looks just like her mom. Super adorable and so funny and smart. She's such a great kid. Positive Friday vibes to Nikki and Marley and the family. Yes, I am the hardest worker on YouTube, Mary. Thank you for noticing. And you know what happens to me after going through the Mark Thompson show, which is also an amazing show. And if you're here on the Nikki show and you're not catching the Mark Thompson show, I really hope you'll try to see both. Both former KGO hosts, both I'm so thankful brought me along with them for the ride, and so I really am grateful to be a part of both of these shows, and I hope you'll check them both out. TheMarkThompsonShow.com, TheNikkiMadoroShow.com, and please tell people as we try to grow these shows so we can keep it going. Something important to me as well. Maybe too personal, writes Wes, but does Nikki have proper insurance for Marley's expenses? I think she does. Thank goodness. It's one of those things I was thinking about, Wes, as the manila envelopes were passed out around the table at Station X and everyone was being laid off. Not everybody there is a double income family. Some people that were laid off, they only have themselves to rely on. So when they get laid off, they don't have health insurance, or else they have to participate in that really expensive health insurance option that the state mandates. But thankfully, Nikki is married, has a husband with a good job, and I think that they're able to stay in their house. They're able to have insurance. So yeah, I think she's okay in that department. Thanks for asking. I, had my fingers crossed that the same thing was going on, because you know how expensive all these stays in the hospital can be. Wes, kicking in $5. Thank you, Wes. We appreciate your donation. Every time you guys donate, and I don't care if it's $1 or $500, I am so touched and so moved. Yeah, Kim, Cobra is what it's called. Cobra's too much, too expensive. So thankfully she doesn't have to do that. Ren writes, for Nikki and her daughter and family, lots of hearts. Thank you for that. We appreciate the hearts. We appreciate the love and all the good thoughts that you are sending Nikki's way, and to Mark Thompson's dad as well, and to Andreas's mom, as a lot of people associated with these programs are undergoing some health issues and some health scares. Okay, let's get back to something cool. How about that? Something more fun for this Friday. I wanted to show you this picture, just like, just like we had talked about um, the pink ocean. I wanted to show you this picture of a really cool cloud. See if I can find this really cool cloud. Well, also I wanted to also talk to you about the green comet. All right, we'll talk about the green comet and then we'll talk about the cloud. How about that? So this green comet apparently is extra, extra rare. And you're not going to be able to see it for very long. See if I can find the story. This is a rare green comet passing through our solar system for the first time in 50,000 years. And it's coming over the weekend. So you have a good chance of seeing it in the night sky. It's called C2022E3, ZTF. Let's just call it the green comet. It was first discovered in Jupiter's orbit last March by astronomers Frank Massey and Bryce Bolin at the Palomar Observatory. That's in San Diego County. It was named after the facility where it was identified. It's called the Zwicky Transient Facility, the ZTF. And it's now on a path that will bring it closest to Earth, about 27 million miles away, February 2nd. That is apparently when we're going to be able to see it. Although an astronomer at the Lick Observatory up on Mount Hamilton is telling SF Gate, it's probably not likely anyone in the Bay Area is going to be able to see this comet with the naked eye because of light pollution. So your backyard telescope or a small pair of binoculars might be the best way to see it. But it's a chance. You can, not with the naked eye, maybe with some accoutrement. We'll see how that works out. But that's pretty cool. The green comet coming to a theater near you. No, coming to the sky this weekend on February 2nd. So that's pretty exciting. And then, did you guys see this? This is called a lenticular cloud. I'm fascinated by this one. This is another phenomenon, and this one happened over Mount Shasta. And people were looking at it all day long. It was there for most of the day, taking pictures of it, posting these pictures all over social media. This doesn't happen very often. It is kind of a flying saucer shape. You can see it right over Mount Shasta there. It happened January 2nd. A lot of people posting it. Maybe you've seen some of these pictures online, but about 3 hours or so, you could see it over Mount Shasta. And it was a real cloud show, people are saying. It was one of the longer, more pronounced lenticular cloud shows that some people have ever seen. So here's the deal on lenticular clouds. Apparently, they can form in a stable atmosphere when the wind blows moisture rich air up and over a mountain. As the air moves up, it cools to a point where it condenses and it forms one of these really interesting looking clouds. So, moisture in the air blowing comes up the mountain, condenses, gets colder, and then you get this lenticular cloud. So apparently, since you have an obstacle in the way, according to SF Gate, the air goes around the mountain both ways. And that is why you get a saucer shaped cloud. So that's pretty cool. I love when something interesting is in the sky. I'm kind of a cloud watcher anyway. So for me to be able to see something like that, that's pretty cool. But I love the pictures as well. I'm going to bring in my friend, Maureen Langan, who's joining me today. You're in your car. Hi.
I'm in my car, Kim. This is what I do for you. I stop in unknown parking lots across America so I could chat with you. How are you?
I'm good. How are you today, Maureen?
I'm well. I am well. I'm always excited to be with you. Who doesn't like clouds? Everyone
Right?
likes clouds. Sure. I'll play along.
So where are you? Are you in the East Bay today? Are you in Marin? What are you doing?
I head back to New York on Monday, but what I'm doing is right now, actually, I'm in Daly City, but I'm on
Okay.
my way to San Francisco because I'm working out my solo show, Daughter of a Garbage Man. So I have
Okay.
a bit of a rehearsal. Many people who listened to me on KGO came to see it. It was a very deep show about a family's strengths, struggles, secrets, but it was also emotional. So there's a lot of tears, a lot of laughs. Um, but now I'm taking all the depth out of it. And no, I'm not taking all of it, but there will be no tears, no crying in baseball. It's going to be a lighter version and an hour version and done more in that Colin Quinn stand-up style.
Yeah.
So I'm going to San Francisco to work on that and found myself a little gym in Daly City. And
Okay.
here I go. Yeah. So I'll plug stuff later. But
Well, I
anyway,
wanted to plug it now because you're talking about Daughter of a Garbage Man, and I don't know if you emailed it to me or if I saw it on Facebook. Really exciting. I kind of been waiting for this show to come somewhere in the North Bay near me, and now
uh,
it is going to. Can you tell us about it?
oh, yeah,
Yeah.
and again, so just so people know, it's really it went very deep before when I played in the Marsh and in Berkeley, and I took it to New York and Florida and all that, and Scotland. But it was like a theater piece where the lights are up, they're down. I become that child at 13. Freak that. We're gonna take the same premise, but do it more like the fourth wall is broken down.
Hmm.
More my stand-up style without it being straight stand-up at all. It's storytelling
Okay.
with a lot of comedy and humor. So really what I do is I look at today's world, again, with humor. I'll just give you a quick little synopsis. I was told by my Irish mother and my father, retired New York City sanitation worker. My 5 siblings and I were told, you work hard, you get your education, you do the right thing, you tell the truth, and life will reward you. And really, I'm saying, I don't know if I believe this. I think life is rewarding, lion politicians who spin to win and reality
Yeah.
stars who show skin like the Kardashian. Then you're in like Flynn.
Yeah.
So, and then I go into the woke. So I look at the world through my dad's eyes from the South Bronx in this woke world, and him just like, what? And then I
Yeah.
look at my mother through this reality show world, the mom who's telling me to do the right thing. And I look around going, why didn't you tell me to dance with poles? I don't understand this education thing. And then too, some of it's politically incorrect because my dad's not politically correct. Um, and really, I want to know, what can we say on the stage and on the page without people recoiling? What can I portray my father as he was or is? He's still alive, thank God. But just simple things like unhoused. They don't have a house. That's why they're homeless. Why can't I say homeless anymore? What the hell's happening?
Right.
Why are we living in riddles? And
Yeah.
it's even a little bit more than that, which I don't want to go into now because there's some words, not bad, horrible words,
Right.
not at all. But that's the whole thing too. We can't talk about words. we're not allowed to give context to it. And do we want to erase people who were born in 1937? Is that what we
Right.
want to do?
Right.
So but I am progressive, and I do believe in going forward. But I don't think we can go forward without realizing from where we came and honoring the good and the bad and the
Mhm.
ugly of people. And then my mother being from Ireland, with my dad speaks freely, and my mother's like, "Would you keep that under wraps? Don't tell anybody that. It's none of their business." So I'm reworking this new version, cutting it from an hour and 20 down to about 50 to 60 minutes. So
Okay.
I'm doing some, when I say workshopping it's beyond workshopping, but I'll be doing it on February 9th, a Thursday, at Murphy's Irish Pub. They have a little
Oh,
side room in Sonoma
that's
called the Snug.
perfect.
Yeah, it's only a
That
40-seater, so people better get their butts there.
I think I'm going to meet you there.
Definitely, and then we'll have a pint after. Then the night before, for those might be interested, there's a Napa Valley Writers.
Okay.
I'll be speaking to them about this very topic. What can we talk about as artists? Look, my goal is to be famous enough to get canceled. That's all I want in life. And I'm going backwards. And then Monday, for those who maybe don't want to come out at night, I will be going to I got to look at the right name of it without you disappearing. Let's see. It will be again.
Oh, you went away, Maureen Langan. She'll come back. But she'll figure it out eventually, right? But her show is going to be really cool. So if you live in the North Bay, check it out February 9th in Sonoma. That's kind of cool. I'm excited about finally being able to see that show. There were some stories I wanted to talk to Maureen about today too. So hopefully she'll check back in with us from the car in Daly City. She gets around. Yeah, this show is in Sonoma. She's also got a house in New York, a place in New York, and she does a lot of comedy shows there as well. Of course, Maureen Langan, former talk show host on Station X, KGO. So I always like to include, I don't know if you noticed that, I like to include as many former KGO people in the show as I can. Yesterday we had Rich Walkoff on. We've had a lot of KGO people on. So that is something you will continue to see here on the Nikki Maduro show. And I would say the Mark Thompson show as well. Yeah, here comes Maureen. She's back. Here she is. Oh, you're upside down this time. That's pretty funny. Yeah, I'll take you off until you get yourself righted. That's pretty cute. You're upside down, Maureen. You got to flip that camera over. There you are. Oh,
Oh, I'm sorry.
you're upside down for half a second. It was very entertaining.
Well, you know what? Apparently, you can't go to another page when you're on StreamYard. But if I
Apparently not.
may, apparently not. We learned the hard way. Sorry. Um, So yes, Monday the 6th, I will be at a place called the Vintage House in the afternoon. So those who want to come out in the afternoon to Vintage House, I think that may even be free or $5, very inexpensive, at
Where's
1 in the
Vintage House? Is that in
afternoon.
Sonoma?
That's in Sonoma as well. So some people
Okay.
don't like to stay out late, and maybe they want to go out in the afternoon. So that's the 6th, and then Wednesday, the writers, Napa Valley Writers. That won't be a full show. That'll be an excerpt. But what a good group of people to
Yeah.
be around. And then Friday, of course, Murphy's Irish Pub at 7 o'clock in Sonoma. So
So do you have a website where people can find all this stuff easily?
yeah, easily. I have to update it when I get home. But yes, it's Maureen Langan, my name.com, Instagram Maureen Langan, Facebook Maureen Langan. So I'll be posting it all up there.
Cool.
Yeah.
And so give her a day. Let her update it because
Yeah, I'll have it tonight.
yeah.
I'll have it up tonight. I'm a very busy woman. No, I'll have it up.
Okay, so there's some stories I kind of wanted to throw your way.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
looks like apparently there is have you been following all the mass shootings that have happened?
You know what? I can't take it. And
Okay.
we can talk about it. Of course I have. And schools and people going bananas. It's, and when we talked about it, a comic I know said, "Do you know we have more regulations for peanuts than we do for guns?"
It's wild. This is a story about
Peanuts.
the peanuts, not penis. I always had to make sure I
No,
said
no.
peanuts on the radio. Unless you can see
Yeah,
the
yeah.
person's mouth, sounds like penis. Um, a woman who survived this Monterey Park shooting is
Mm.
speaking out now. She's telling KTLA that her dance partner shielded her from the bullets and it cost him his life. He died protecting her. I know. Can you even?
Mm.
there's a GoFundMe set up for UCOW, YUKAO, UCOW. He
Mm.
went by Andy Mr. Nice, is what he called himself. He was one of 11 victims killed when the gunman opened fire at a dance hall following the Lunar New Year celebrations. So,
Mm.
yeah. So this guy, what a thing to do, to step up to protect others.
Well, too, and I think what's so sickening about all this is once we decide, it's just on the news every day. There's a
Somebody
shooting,
shooting.
there's a
Yeah.
gunman in school, there's people out dancing. Nothing will change
Yeah.
because once Sandy Hook happened and we didn't care enough about kids, then Uvalde,
Yep.
nothing will change. And I just, because I like to torture myself, but actually tried to listen to an hour of Tucker Carlson.
Oh,
Tried and I cannot believe how sick and disturbed that man is, talking about the crazy Democrats want to take your guns, and I don't understand why there can't be balance. I don't get it. I really don't get it. But when you hear people like him speak and how he mocks and laughs in the middle of talking about guns, and oh, it's like deranged. I was shaking, but sometimes you have to hear what's out there, because then people who listen to him, who have never been near a gun in their life, like, yeah, we need our guns. Like, oh my God. And I'm not saying people shouldn't have their guns, of course, but there's no way to limit certain guns. Why is that a bad
yeah.
thing? They can limit women's rights. They're fine with that. They
Yeah.
can have peanut rights. I don't know. And you were saying peanut or penis. Let me tell you, men with penises have all the rights. There's no regulation on that.
I
None of
love you,
that.
Maureen Langan. I love you.
No, right back at you. Oh, it's
Let's
heartbreaking.
talk about
Heartbreaking.
I was just mentioning on the news, this video of the attack on Paul Pelosi was released. A judge said you have to put it in the public domain. I watched it. Uh, but Nancy Pelosi says she doesn't want to see it. She can't mentally put herself in a place where she watches her husband get attacked. She knows the aftermath, right? She saw the injuries. She saw him in the hospital. She's been there for the recovery. So I understand her thought completely, but I don't think I would be able not to look at it. I just kind of would want to know. The video is really, really short. It's mostly of the police officers wandering around outside of the home. And then when the door opens, the very quick attack ensues within seconds as they try to get the hammer away from this guy. You think it should have
Yeah.
been released? And would you want to
Yeah.
see it if it was your loved one?
I don't know if I'd want to see it because the young fellow, God forgive me for forgetting his name, the African American in Memphis,
Oh, Tyree Nichols.
Tyree. Yeah, I couldn't remember how
Yeah.
to say his name. How do I say his name correctly?
I think it's Tyree. It's Tyre, so I
R-E,
pronounced it
yeah.
Tyree. Yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't know how to say his name correctly. Forgive me.
Mhm.
Um, I would want it released because it's the truth. Because again, that piece of human crap that I mentioned earlier, who has a show, um, was like, well, he made like he alluded to, well, maybe he was out at the bars late, doing something with men, and that's out there. He goes, well, I can't. Somebody was saying maybe he was a gay kind of thing, and he goes, well, I don't know about that. I mean, I can't. I'm paraphrasing. I can't say yes or no to that. Why do you put that out there? Now I'm talking about it, but I'm talking about it in a way that I hope makes people realize how evil that is. So
Mhm.
I'm glad they released it, because it shows what happens, and all these theorists, conspiracy theorists, will see the truth, and we will. It's and the other thing is, Tyree, they're going to release his tape tonight, so I cannot
Yes.
see that. I can't watch what they did. I
No.
cannot. I can't watch
I
it.
and it's I make it about me, me.
Yeah.
But and I know it's
Oh,
absolutely not about that, but when I watched the video of the man dying with a police officer's boot on his neck, and there he is pleading, saying, "I can't breathe," uh, that took a huge emotional toll. I remember being in KGO on the air, just looking up and crying because Maureen's frozen in time, crying because of how heartbreaking this is. I know it's not about me, but I figure if I'm crying, other people are crying. And maybe that's the kind of emotional response as a country that we need to really see it in our face and be up close with it. But I think after we saw that video, after we saw that man die, we kind of, George Floyd, thank you, Kim. She knows what happens in my brain. Uh, after we saw the death of George Floyd, how many more times do we need to see that to finally realize that these things are happening? For me, I don't. I realize it's happening. I know it's happening. I know it's awful. I know it's ugly. I know we need to do something else about it. Uh, but there we have another video being released, and I don't think I'll be able to watch that one. What about you in the chat? Are you gonna watch it as well? I mean, do you feel like when this video is released tonight of the killing of Tyree Nichols by 5 police officers in Memphis, that that's something you're gonna seek out on the internet to see? It may be like the killing of George Floyd that you won't be able to avoid it. It may be that CNN will play it and replay it, play it again, and you'll have to look at this video and see it over and over again. I'm not sure. Maureen, we're still talking about the video being released tonight and whether we need to see it, or whether after the killing of George Floyd, you kind of already know it's happening, and whether we've seen enough, and we need to kind of pull ourselves down emotionally and mentally by seeing yet another person killed.
Well, and I'm sorry, please forgive the tech stuff. I've not usually
No,
doing
no worries.
chat in the car
It's no
on the
problem.
phone on a stick.
We're
But
flexible here.
I think I can read the recap of it, but
Yeah.
to watch a poor young man, I want to know what the cause of pulling him over was. They say it was a car. Why did young black men die? Because their light is out or they swerved on a road? Why is he dead? And I think what's really sad to me about it is there were 5 African American cops.
Hmm.
And literally, I think of, being raised Catholic, whatever you do to the least of my brothers, like it's your own family. You want that to be better to the community. You think sometimes bringing like-minded types of people, they're policing. When my dad was in the South Bronx, there were a lot of there were a lot of Irish cops everywhere, let's face it. But I do think people who are cops in particular neighborhoods, I think it's good for them to know a culture or a people. I think that's good.
Hmm.
So to see that 5 black officers did that to one of their own is just like, wow. And then,
On the other hand, had they been white, here we go right back at it again with racism. I'm not denouncing racism as being something we need to worry about and that still happens. Uh, but I think it shows that there's something about when heard the story, I thought about Lord of the Rings.
oh,
Like there's some type of power shift that happens when you've got a badge and a gun.
mhm.
There's some type of thing that you will submit to me, you will do what I say, and it kind of goes beyond racism to just having power over someone. I don't know how that plays into it or how we fix that with police, that just because you have the power doesn't mean you need to be cruel about it.
That's a really great point, Kim. And I often would say too, my respect for cops is immense because
Yeah.
I have 2 relatives who are cops, and many cops have to run into a situation that all of us would flee from. And
Hmm.
so my respect is immense. And I know young cops who have been killed trying to, break up, um, drug busts. But
Hmm.
I think you make a good point. And when I would see certain cops, I'm thinking like some all puffed up on power, and I don't know how much psychological training cops get. I don't know. And I think
Yeah.
that would be important to have a degree in psychology. So there is, and I was listening to one of the lawyers for the family, for Tyree's family, saying that this just shows that there is some overall issues with policing.
Hmm.
And that power you talk about makes a lot of sense.
Maybe even a class to say, maybe they have this, I don't know, to say, listen, this happens when you get this power. It can change you. It can change the way you think. There's this dynamic that happens to people that have power over others. Here's how you fight that. A daily reminder of why you're here, why you're serving the public, what have you. I don't know what to do about it, but it seems like, and we'll see in the video tonight. I won't see it because I'll as you say, read the recap.
Yeah, I
Uh,
can.
but you just feel like it was something where maybe the person, and who knows, maybe he did submit right away. But in my mind, it's, you know, why are you pulling me over? Maybe not submitting, maybe saying something that was disrespectful to an officer. And that sometimes is all it takes. And then here the violence kickstarts and they have a hard time reeling it in. I don't know. I don't know.
Five. And they said,
Yeah.
they're saying that what they did is inhumane. So, well, of course he's dead. That's inhumane. It wasn't like one shot went off. They said the five of them, whatever they did, I don't know what the hell's going on. I don't understand. We're living in such a time. That's one issue. But then you have, of course, you can't have, Santos doesn't want African American studies. And then they just appoint, I don't know, now I'm going off on a tangent.
Yeah.
But there's another college, a liberal college in Florida, where he's just appointed a bunch of conservatives. And one guy had been the head of a Christian school. And one of them said that he would take a serious look at gender and queer studies.
Yeah.
So we hate women. Okay, let's erase us too. We hate queer people. I can't.
Yeah.
Who do we like? Who do we like?
He likes himself and people who look like him, and that's it. The end. That's it.
Yeah.
Nick writes in today, red flag, just because he's black and the cops are black doesn't make them brothers. Skin color doesn't define who you are. If someone says a Nazi is my brother because he's also white, that's wrong. Yeah, no, I understand that. But you would think, though, that black police officers are more than just police officers. They are black men who have likely gone through a lifetime dealing with discrimination. And we know that they probably have, right? So you would think that they would be sympathetic to someone who's on the other side of the law, to someone who who's scared that the police are pulling them over. So in that particular case, I would say, Nick, that there should be some type of understanding there in brotherhood.
Hope. But I don't agree with his premise, because I don't think white people aligning with Nazis is the same thing about being a group of people who have been subjected to such things in their lives, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is a sweeping generalization, but I think the black community has issues. I see it in my friends who are Jewish, the Jewish communities, not all, but understanding a struggle or a background. See, it's like a recognition when you see one of your own. I would think that's what one, but the Nazi thing, I'm not getting that.
Yeah, I don't know. So last time I hit you with a bunch of softball stories.
Please.
And this time I kind of wanted to talk politics with you because you're very well versed in that. You have been a reporter and you pay attention to all the stuff. So one thing I haven't been able to talk to you about, because the story hadn't came out after we spoke, was all these documents flying around. So you have the Biden documents, the Trump documents, which are in a whole category by themselves. Yeah. Now we got the Pence documents. Now we've got the National Archives telling people, and the Department of Justice telling all presidents and vice presidents of former VPs and presidents, take a look. What do you got? Do you got anything? What's happening? Where's the documents?
Where's the beef? I have to tell you, I used to think I had a big belly, but it turns out they're documents. Somebody said, Kim, that so many things get classified. Like almost every single thing is being stamped classified. Yeah. I don't know how much of that is true or not, but there's something going on beyond. I don't know who's storing these things. I don't know if they're calling U-Haul and just chucking stuff in. There's something going on. There doesn't seem to be a system in place. I don't know what the hell's happening. We're going to go back to Dolly Madison. What did she know? I want to know what she read in her husband's, with his feather pen. What was on those papers? Where did they wind up? That's what I want to know. I have no idea. Isn't it insane what's going on?
It's wild. Who thought this would be a thing? I think there needs to be some type of system where like they put a chip in the paper, or maybe only have them in on a website that you see, that's very locked down, something. There needs to be some other system happening where they can track these documents and who has access and where they are. Because the uncovering of this incident shows that our system is not good enough.
Well, yeah, it is showing that. And I thought you were going to say put a chip in their brain so everybody thinks. Yeah, I know. And then, of course, when it came out with Biden, you're like, oh, no. And then everybody's equating it to Trump. Poor Trump got raided, but he wouldn't turn them over. Biden's like, please take them. They're in my garage next to the extra beer for the parties.
Next to the Corvette.
Yeah, next to the Corvette. That's crazy.
It's wild. Okay, I'll throw a soft one at you here now. Have you been following the story about the Good Morning America 3 anchors who had a torrid affair?
Was it Good Morning America? Is that what it is? Yeah, Good Morning America 3, right?
Yeah, GMA 3. It's like the third hour of their
Yeah,
show.
they don't have enough, and I can't get a show, but they have 3 hours. Okay.
They have three, yeah. This is
Right.
Amy Roback and TJ Holmes. They are they're now, it's just funny. It's like it's almost like they're sucking everything they can out of the story. We don't want them on the air, but the more we publicize it, the more the show gets mentioned, the more things might be watched, right? So
Yeah.
TJ Holmes and Amy Roback, the anchors of the third hour of Good
Yeah.
Morning America, are in the final stages of negotiating their exit from the network after pictures surfaced last year of them engaged in an apparent romantic relationship.
Yes.
So now they are set to leave. They haven't left. We knew they were getting kicked off, and now
Right.
they're set to leave.
Right. This is the negotiations. They haven't signed yet. I heard it was a very intense mediation. I love Andrew Shue so much. I have always loved him, and he grew up not far from where I did in New Jersey. I'm here to comfort him if he needs anything. I'm here from. I gotta tell you, it's so funny because this is terrible. They say you shouldn't judge unless you've walked in people's shoes.
Yeah.
But as the daughter of a garbage man, I have walked in other people's shoes, so I can judge. Plus, I just left Planet Fitness, where it says it's no judgment, and all I could do was walk around judging people. So she comes there was no subtlety in it. Didn't seem like they handled it with respect. I think he comes across like those kind of guys that are like, I'm just so good looking, and everybody.
Yeah.
Doesn't he come across like that?
He does. He comes across like someone who has a bit of an ego and a swagger to him.
A swagger. And
Yeah.
and I don't know there's something off with her. There's something off. I don't know. There's something off. And they're poor kids.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not right. But I don't know. Just I guess I wish they would have been more delicate about it. But whatever. Good luck to them. I hope their kids are okay. I hope Andrew's okay. Andrew, I'm here, honey. I'm here for you, Andrew Shue. From South Orange, New Jersey.
Because that's who she was married to.
Oh, yeah. And his wife seems like a real class act. He seems like a real class. The wife.
Yeah.
His wife seems like a classy broad, if you ask me. I think she seems really classy. I don't. Should they be fired, though? It sounds like he was hitting on people.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. I don't think you want that when you have a respected news broadcast. You can't have any of that riffraff going on. But yet they're soaking it for all they can.
No, thankfully I wasn't attracted to any of the men at KGO. But I mean, anyway, did they but where do you meet people anymore? You can't date anybody at work. Like, can you?
Yeah. No.
You can't.
I mean, a lot of people though meet at the workplace. That's where a lot of romances begin.
But that's gone. We can't do
hot
that
and heavy
anymore.
in the coat closet.
Oh, what do you know, Kim? What's been your experience?
Not saying anything.
Oh, I see. I'll find out in Sonoma on February 9th. I'll get the dirt out of you.
So, you know how you were talking about they have a third hour and you're still working to get a show? There is a story that just came out today.
Yeah.
The Simpsons has been renewed through 2025. Talk about longevity on a show. They're going to pass the 800 episode mark. Yes, they have seasons 35 and 36 they're going to do now. They've renewed this long-running cartoon, record-breaking, of course, often quoted, often in the news because of the, political commentary that they put into their script. So this 34th finale will serve as the 750th episode. And then they're going to pass with this renewal 800 episodes. That's a record setter. So yeah, 2 more seasons. Pretty cool.
So are you saying that they're going to base the character on me? Is that where we're going?
I think you have an opportunity to do some voice work with The Simpsons. I think you should.
Yeah. I hope to God you're right there. That'd be lovely, wouldn't it? I didn't even know they were still
really
original programming. I had no idea. That's how into them I was. How about that?
They have won 35 Emmy Awards, The Simpsons.
Wow.
They had a Simpsons movie. So they were on the big screen.
Good.
The and they have their draw for stars like you, Maureen Langan. The
Yes.
34th guest roster includes Anna Faris, Jane Kasmerick, Jay Farrow, Megan Mullally, Drew Barrymore, Aubrey Plaza, Melissa McCarthy, Natasha Lyonne. The list goes on. So, a lot of people lend their voices to this show.
Wow, that's great. They haven't called. I bet they will. I bet they're going to call now. Do you think they're coming to Sonoma?
No, I don't think they're coming to Sonoma. But for fans of The Simpsons, that is very, very exciting. Okay, so here's another story. Do you
Yes.
go to Disneyland a lot?
Do I know? And even as kids, we didn't go. 6 kids, we went nowhere. We went our front lawn with a sprinkler. But I have been to Disneyland a couple times. That's what we did. Vacations. You remember you go back to school, they're like, how was your summer vacation? I'm like, why is she rubbing it in? All right, go ahead.
That's true. There's a new ride. It's called Runaway Railway, and it's at Disneyland in Southern California.
Okay.
And yeah, so it's the Mickey and Minnie Runaway Railway, the first new ride at Disneyland in more than 3 years. So of course, everyone's going to want to go down there for that.
Oh,
It is
yeah.
part of Disney 100, a massive Disneyland special event set to happen all year long. And so I guess they already have this ride or something similar at Walt Disney World.
Oh,
And now it's going to open at Hollywood Studios.
yeah.
And so, yeah, so now we've got this new ride at Disneyland. There it is.
But what is it doing? All I'm doing is seeing a sign. It's just a rail. What is it? It's a train that takes
Oh,
off.
I don't know what you want it to be, Maureen. It's a runaway railway. What do you want?
But I don't see the railway or anything running away.
Oh, it's the out. So you wanted me to take you on the inside the ride? Is that what you wanted?
Well, I would have liked to have seen the ride, Kim.
Did you want me to show you a video of the ride?
Yeah, that would have been nice.
So you could see really what it's more about?
Yeah,
All right.
okay,
I will
let's hit the
show
button.
you
Hit the
the
button.
inside of this. Let's see if I can find it. Hold on. I have to save it first. I will show this to you. This is the inside of the ride. I don't think you're going to be very very impressed, but this is how it looks. This is how it looks inside of the Disney Runaway Railway. There it is.
Wow. Can't believe it. Wow, 3 years we waited.
Are you
for this.
excited?
And how much does it cost to get into this joint now? Is it like $500 a person?
Almost. I think it's like one something, 130, 140, I don't know. But it seems like it constantly going up. So, how much do they love children if they're making it unaffordable for people to get in there? But I know a lot of people who they buy those passes and they go like every couple of months, they're back down at Disneyland. There's people that are Disney, like they have this Disney fever. They gotta go. They gotta see everything. Yeah.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
I haven't been much. I went once or twice with some friends who wanted to go. It seemed nice. It seemed lovely. I can go to Times Square in Manhattan where I live and be assaulted by a fake Minnie Mouse over there.
Yeah, so magical, Kim says, huh?
Hi,
So
Kim.
yeah, it's always Maureen says hi. You heard her. There she is. It is very very exciting for a lot of people when a new ride like this comes out.
Oh, I'm thrilled.
Just like when you saw the Star Wars land in Disneyland come out and they had to have reservations because so many people wanted to go down there and do that. And it is cool. I will say it is cool.
Oh, all right. Listen, I'm open. I want everybody to enjoy the Runaway Railroad, or whatever, the Underground Railroad, whatever it is. I hope they have a really good time. I just want everybody to be happy. Yeah, that's it.
You just want everyone to have a little joy, right?
A little joy in their lives. A little joy in their lives. All right, you got another one before I got to jump?
Oh, let's talk about Jay Leno before you have to go.
Oh, yeah.
Did you hear that he has more injuries because he had a motorcycle incident just a couple of months after he burned his face in an accident in his garage? Yes, this is the story. He tells the Las Vegas Review-Journal he got knocked off of his 1940 Indian motorcycle while he was testing it out January 17th. He didn't see a wire that was strung across a parking lot, didn't have a flag on it or anything. There was a wire strung across this lot and he was clotheslined, knocked off his bike. He had a broken collarbone. He had 2 cracked kneecaps, 2 broken ribs. And he was already recovering from the burn injuries after the car fire in the garage. But still, he says, it's okay. I'm going back to work.
Oh
Yeah,
my
he's not
God.
going to let. He's got a broken collarbone, two broken kneecaps, two broken ribs, and he's going right back to work. He's got scheduled to return to Las Vegas in March, headlining the Encore Theater for the first time. So he's not going to let it slow him down. These
Is he
comedians
going?
are hardcore.
Yeah, oh, yeah, it's very hardcore. Will he be going on the Runaway Railroad? You know,
No,
but I mean, I think maybe bumper cars for him. Maybe like give a break to the motorcycles and the cars for a bit, right?
right.
I think he's a good guy. I want him to be healthy, but for the love of God, what's he doing? And a clotheslining. What was it, like a rope by a parking lot?
Yeah, just this wire, a wire strung across this parking lot. Didn't have any flags on it, no, indication that there was anything there. So it just, boom, knocked him right
So
off.
what's going to happen? Is he going to sue them, or is the parking lot? Is their fault? Are they not allowed to have a string across their parking lot?
I don't know. One would think. I don't think Jay Leno will sue anybody. He probably doesn't
I,
need the money.
I'm
But
wondering why he's trying to turn in. Maybe he's going to turn around in the parking lot.
he was pulling over because he noticed something wrong with his motorcycle.
There's a lot going on there, Jay. You got to take care of yourself.
Yeah, I don't know. All right, Maureen Langan, thank you for jumping in and talking with me today. Can we talk a little bit before you go? Once again, remind us where you'll be.
I will, but first, I know you were talking about it before I jumped on, but I hear Nikki's daughter's doing well.
Yes, yeah.
Like,
Successful surgery, still recovering, and hopefully they get out of the hospital this weekend. So all good thoughts go to them as we hope that happens and that everything goes as planned.
I wish them all the best. All right, so here you go, you guys. The week of February 6th, Monday in the afternoon at 1 o'clock, I'm going to be in Napa. I'm going to have it in Sonoma. I think I mentioned it before. I think it's called the Vineland Home or Vineland Community Center. I will look that up. I'll put it back on my website. On the 8th, the Napa Valley Writers. So go to that. I'll be speaking about political correctness on the stage and on the page, particularly these days. What can we or can't we talk about? And then I'd love if you guys came out. I'm doing a run through of Daughter of a Garbage Man, my solo show. Lighten it up, a lot more funny, but it's storytelling about Huey, my father from the South Bronx, and my mother from Ireland. That will be at Murphy's Irish Pub in Sonoma on Friday, February 9th at 7. There's only 40 seats, so get your tickets, call up, make a reservation.
Okay. All right, MaureenLangan.com. I love you. You're so smart and so funny, and always a pleasure to have you on.
And can I let people know, if you go to MaureenLangan.com, you can always message me there and I can give you details, and I'll, of course, put it on my website as well. But if you have a question or any of that happy crap, okay?
Okay, thanks, Mo. Have a great afternoon. Go get your workout in.
Hope to see you in Sonoma, Kim.
Oh, you'll see me. I'll be there.
Yay! Bye!
Okay, I have to get one of those 40 seats. Thank you to Maureen Langan for joining. Thank you for being here as well. We are just about ready to check in with Tim Sika, who's got a lot of really cool movie reviews. So I'm going to skip news and go right to Tim because I can't wait to talk to him. I wait all week long, and here he is finally, the amazing, the wonderful Tim Sika, everybody. Hi.
Hi, amazing and wonderful Kim McAllister.
How you doing?
Good. I'm doing real good. How about you?
Good. I'm glad it's Friday. It's been a week. I'll tell you. Mark Thompson is in Washington, D.C., helping to take care of his dad, who is not well. And Nikki is out. So I've kind of been trying to spearhead both shows, and it's kind of a lot.
Oh my God.
I realize what they're doing, and it gives me new respect for what they have to go through. But
well,
by the fourth hour on Friday, it's like, thank God for Tim Sika. Here he is.
Well, you look no worse for the wear, I'll have to say. So anyway.
Well, thank you. Hey, because you went to a big thing recently in Los Angeles where it was some type of award ceremony?
Yeah, the Critics' Choice Association Awards. Yeah, the Critics' Choice Awards. Yeah, I was there.
I rub elbows with all that and eat the caviar and drink the champagne.
Yeah, the food was great. I mean, everything was very high end. Celebrities were like all over the place. Literally, yeah. I mean, you would turn to your left and there'd be Kate Blanchett, having a conversation with a friend, and So it was pretty frou-frou and really really cool. Yeah.
Very nice. Okay,
Yeah.
so you've got Shotgun Wedding to tell us about. You know I like a good romance. Am I going to like this one?
Well, yeah, we have a couple of rom-coms this week. Actually,
Oh,
three if you
did you
count
do
the
that
deep.
for me?
What's well, it kind of worked out that way. I mean,
Okay.
these are the movies that are coming out, and I thought, well, this will be Kim's week. So,
All right.
yeah, okay. Shotgun Wedding stars Jennifer Lopez, right? Showing off her body as never before. And why shouldn't she? She works so very hard at it, I'm sure. Anyway, she plays the bride in this story to Josh Duhamel's groom, who
Okay.
both decide to do this ultimate destination wedding on this exotic island in the Philippines, far away from anything except, wouldn't you know, pirates.
Oh.
Who take all the guests, including Jennifer Lopez's very wealthy father and both their families and invited guests hostage. Oh, so yeah, that's the plot.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Uh-oh.
Okay. There's some good things about this movie. I think it's a totally disposable entertainment. I would wager, even to diehard rom-com fans like
Okay.
yourself, Kim. It has some fun moments. Jennifer Coolidge, who seems to be everywhere these days. She has some really funny moments as the mother of the groom, and lines like, there was a line when she was on her way to the ladies' room. She says, when I'm in formal wear, I like to stand peeing up. How about you? I mean, so, there were cutesy lines like that. Cheech Marin plays Jennifer Lopez's father. He has his moments too. But at best, it's kind of, I don't know. I mean, a lot of the comedy is hit and miss.
Yeah.
A lot of the jokes are labored. Many of the jokes fall flat. When it gets serious, it gets kind of lunkheady. There's a mixture of tones that don't really gel. The characters behave really, stupidly and cluelessly, which I guess that's okay for a comedy. But the pirates who are holding everybody hostage, to believe that they're as incompetent as they're portrayed here requires a real stretch. But now, for the good parts, Jennifer Lopez fans, they have to see this because she probably gives the most physical performance of her career, and one that might even make Lucille Ball envious. I mean, she does these amazing comedy things with her body. She falls all over the place. Half the time she's a mess. I mean, physical mess. Her dress is all filthy. She's a real trooper, and she goes all in for the physical stuff she has to do for this movie. And I was impressed by that. I mean, she has to spout all these crazy lines while she's like tumbling down a hill. I mean, didn't look like she used a double for this at all. So I liked that. It was fun seeing this really beautiful woman make herself look really stupid.
Ridiculous.
But the movie itself, it's one of those movies that might work better to just have on in the background of your living room or your den while you're doing something else. One where you could occasionally look up and catch one of the few jokes, lines, or situations that might work.
I appreciate that kind of movie. I mean, sometimes I'm doing laundry. I don't want to be into a deep thinking thing where I have to rewind what I missed.
That's that's really the best way to watch this movie. And the end credit sequence, I gotta admit, is really, it was the end credit sequence, they're doing this dance and stuff. It's great fun and almost, but not quite, worth enduring the whole movie for. But anyway, that's Shotgun Wedding for you. It streams today on Prime Video. I think I mentioned to you that it opens in theaters. I think it's just going right to stream.
It's Prime.
On Amazon Prime.
You know what surprises me though is that you've got a movie like this where you have J-Lo, you have Josh Duhamel, you've got who did you say, Jennifer
Coolidge, Cheech Marin,
do all these big names so they have to have spent some money on this movie. Why do you have a dumb movie with all these big stars in it?
Yeah, well, we have even a dumber movie with bigger stars in it. We get to talk about Maybe I Do. Can we talk about Maybe I Do?
There it is.
Great cast in this movie, unbelievable. It's about two married couples, played by couple number one, William H. Macy and Susan Sarandon, and couple number two, Diane Keaton and Richard Gere. Now, you can't get a better cast than that.
Right.
And it's also about this soon-to-be married younger couple played by Luke Bracey and Emma Roberts. It's kind of like a multi-generational rom-com. That's the best way to describe Maybe I Do. And I really think that's all I should say about the plot, because what little is here in this movie has to do with this reveal that happens 30 minutes into the movie. And it's actually, plot-wise, it's kind of a clever reveal that makes you look at the movie in a totally different way, but that's all I can say. It's the feature film directorial debut of this guy named Michael Jacobs. It's based on his play. This guy has a really impressive background in TV, Michael Jacobs does, and he was one of the producers of Robert Redford's quiz show. Those are his bona fides. And what is this movie about? If anything, seriously, yeah, you're laughing. You think I'm going to sing, but I'm not necessarily. It purports to be about the evolving nature of love between two people. It explores the value of marriage and, why we do this to ourselves, which is kind of funny. But the best that can be said about it is that there's some good observational writing about marriage, and Susan Sarandon is very, very funny. I mean, she's having the time of her life, and she cracks me up. She's also got some of the best lines. But the problem with it, Kim, despite this cast of Oscar winners and Oscar nominees, there's no chemistry at all between these actors. So none of it works, period. You're watching it, I'm going, why isn't any of this gelling? It's clunky at best. You can see that the actors are giving it their all. But it reminded me of this wannabe classic screwball comedy like from the 30s or 40s. At least it felt to me as though that's what they were striving to be. Right. But it needed a better director, I think, to pull it off, or one that had more experience actually behind the camera. And Michael Jacobs, well, I hate to say this, but it was just a bad movie, despite whatever its intentions were, or the greatness of its cast, or what it was trying to say. But anyway,
so don't bother.
Do for you. Well, I would.
Maybe I don't. How about that?
Yeah, maybe you don't. Well, if I could see where fans of these actors would want to tune in just out of curiosity, because it was really cool seeing all of them together. Yeah, and it's based on a play, so it's pretty much the background is contained. It's basically happens in a house in one room. So that's okay. That's interesting enough. And the actors you're going, wow, I can't believe they're all on screen together. But I mean, it's like they're all in their own different movies. It seems like nobody's connecting in this.
Do you feel like during filming, they knew that? Like somehow there has to be some magic that happens where you feel that, like, oh, this is going to be such a good movie. Oh, we're doing so great. Versus sitting in a room and there's no there.
Yeah, well, you wonder, that's a really good point, because I bet at some point they had to feel that. And even though they're, these professionals, they delivered their lines, they did it all the way they knew they should, but it just was not connecting at all. It's too bad.
What a disappointment. Once again, you've got to had spent a lot of money to make this movie, and it was just like going back to your trailer and saying, this movie's going to suck. Okay.
Yeah, well, it unfortunately, I thought it did, but
That's too bad. All right, let's move on to this one. You People.
Yeah, no, this was a movie I liked a lot. It was very solid and funny and pointed. The ending was a bit tidy, but the movie as a whole was this entertaining mixture of social satire, commentary on contemporary race relations, hence the title, You People, and seemingly opposing ethnic sensibilities and beliefs. It's directed by this guy named Kenya Barris, best known probably for creating the ABC sitcom Blackish. Have you ever seen Blackish?
I haven't seen it, but I've heard it's really good.
It's really great, and it ran for like 8 years on ABC, and it was a huge hit. And Barris directed You People, and he co-wrote it with Jonah Hill, who stars in this opposite Lauren London, and the two of them play a 36-year-old Jewish broker who wants to be a podcaster, and an African-American Muslim woman, respectively, who fall in love. They decide to get married, and so the movie becomes a comedy of cultural and racial clashes, which reaches a kind of fever pitch when their parents meet. Jonah Hill's parents are played by David Duchovny and Julia Louis-Dreyfus, both very good, especially Dreyfus. She plays this Jewish mother, tone deaf, who masks her racism by saying all these wildly offensive and incredibly inappropriate, quote unquote, non-racist comments, which make her sound even more wildly racist. Oh. And Lauren London's parents are played by Nia Long and Eddie Murphy, who's very, very funny, and he's unusually restrained for an Eddie Murphy performance, which
Right.
makes him even all the more funny. But he's great. They're all great. All the acting is great in You People. So it's a pointed, uncomfortable at times, kind of cringe comedy that's very funny and that makes you think about the issues it raises. I remember seeing this great documentary, Kim, decades ago. It was called Blacks and Jews, which was directed by Bay Area filmmakers Deborah Kaufman and Alan Snitow, which was a really serious exploration and examination of the relationships between Black and Jewish activists.
Right.
Well, You People, in a way, and I mean this with the greatest respect and admiration I have for both of these films, but You People was like the comedy version of Blacks and Jews. The ending was a bit of a fantasy ending, but in a perfect world, this is how one would want a story about racism and ignorance to end. So anyway, I liked it. I thought it was smart, funny, was quick-witted. It was a good movie, really good movie. And it streams on Netflix as of today. Yeah, today.
Yeah, that could be something I watch tonight. So thanks for that recommendation.
You bet.
I love the name, You People. It's just loaded anyway, right?
Loaded.
So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right. You People is the one that stands out so far rather than Shotgun Wedding and Maybe I Do.
Yeah,
on
definitely.
to this one. Just from the picture alone, it's a no-go for me. Infinity Pool, what do you think?
Yeah, the writer and director of this movie, Brandon Cronenberg, he's the son of body horror movie master David Cronenberg, who's made a lot of, nasty movies. And he's obviously keeping it all in the family and carrying on the time-honored body horror movie tradition of his dad. Yeah. He's made two other films one was called Antiviral, followed up by Possessor, which was even more graphic than Antiviral, and now this one called Infinity Pool. And it's about this novelist, played by Alexander Skarsgård, and his wealthy wife, played by Cleopatra Coleman, who are vacationing at this remote seaside resort in what appears to be a third world country, and who find themselves involved in this tragic accident or incident, well, I kind of gave it away, where somebody is accidentally killed. And it gets them both arrested. And then while under questioning, they're told that the penalty for what happened is that the novelist, played by Skarsgård, he can be killed. This is their code of law. He could be killed by the dead man's firstborn son. But the country where they're vacationing and where this happened has this unique system of justice where they can clone the guilty person and have that duplicate killed in their place, provided of course that they can afford it, right?
Okay, and that's weird.
It's very weird. That's just the beginning. And in this story, the novelist's wife, she's wealthy so that they're able to pay the fee to have a double killed, but it has to be done in front of their eyes. So I probably said too much about the plot, but this movie is really hard to describe. It's very, very stylish. It's just a horror movie and a body horror movie, which means that there's lots of violence inflicted on the characters, lots of blood, spit, bodily fluids like semen being hurled about. There's also drug. Yeah, well, I'm getting to that. There's drug use, sex, all kinds of hedonism and debauchery here. It's pornographic too, and I think would qualify for an X rating because there's a graphic sequence, of an erect penis ejaculating on screen in full detail. So it's pornographic too. And
do
if
they
I
have
were
to rate it X or do they rate it R? How does that work?
Well, I would think that what I saw would be a slapping of an X. But if I were being honest, I found the film gross and disgusting. But knowing the director's work, I expected it to be. And what it all means is up to the individual. I don't know. There's all kinds of ways to look at this. There's a line in the film. Somebody says, is this a dream? Because if it is, it would make more sense. And I thought, that describes this movie. It kind of sums it up. It's actually, though, if I were being objective, it's a good film. It's got good atmosphere. It's creepy. It's provocative. It's horrifying in the way that a good horror movie should be.
Right.
And it's a very singular vision. It's perverted, to be sure, but it kind of needs to be in order to tell the story that it wants to tell. So I don't know if any of what I said sounds appealing to anybody listening, then Infinity Pool may be just their jam for the week. I don't know. I mean,
I think you told us whether, from what you said, it's like either you're going to love this thing or you're just not interested at all. I follow into category 2. But what
You
you
know,
talked about being a premise for a horror movie where you have to have a clone that you pay to die in your place. That's an interesting premise. Like they
isn't
started
it?
out well,
Yeah,
you
it
know?
did. Yeah, it really, yeah, it did. And you could tell the way they were presenting it. Well, I knew what was going to happen. I mean, I watched the trailer. I happened to see the trailer the other day, and I don't watch trailers, but I happened to be in a position where the trailer came on, and I thought, oh, this is going to be. They don't hide the fact that it's going to be very nasty, and it's going to turn into something really, really nasty just by
Mm.
the images that they showed in the trailer. I thought, man, this looks perverted as hell.
Ooh.
And it was. So
Okay, so
yeah.
so in review,
And
we have Shotgun Wedding on Prime Video, which you thought was kind of dumb.
yeah, but
Yeah,
Jennifer Lopez fans, have at it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Then we had Maybe I Do, which had there was no chemistry and it turned out to be a dud.
Yeah, that's a good summation. Yeah.
But then you saw You People and thought it was smart and funny and worthwhile, and that
Yeah.
streams on Netflix starting today.
Yes, that's
And
correct.
then the nasty Infinity Pool, which is over the top gross, and you're gonna say thumbs down in Tim Sica land.
Yeah, thumbs down. But again, as a professional critic, I have to give it props for its vision. I mean, it's very, very cinematic, and it's a very committed movie. I mean, the director really believed in this story, and especially in the way he wanted to tell it. So, I give it props for that. I mean, it's a good film. It's just not, God, it's not, and it's not something you ever want to watch before you go to bed,
Ooh.
because it'll mess with your subconscious in a nasty
You know what? When
way.
I see a movie, sometimes those images stick with me. There are movies
Yeah.
that are in my head sometimes. When I
Hmm.
was babysitting as a teenager, and
Uh-huh.
the neighbors had HBO. We never had HBO or Showtime at our house. Like my
Yeah,
mom would
yeah.
never front for that.
Right,
Uh,
right. Yes, yeah.
so I watched Children of the Corn on like Showtime or something.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Never in my life will I get those images out of my head. I wish I'd never
Yeah.
seen the movie. That sounds
Yeah.
like one of those. Like you
Yeah.
never can wipe that away.
Yeah, never can wipe it away. Yeah, and then there's these set pieces where these hallucinogenic set pieces that are quick cuts of body parts and
No.
blood and all kinds of things. No, really, it's just something that you don't want. It's like something that they would use if they wanted to brainwash somebody and make them crazy. Those were the kind of sequences that were on screen, but awfully well made. I mean, the guy's got talent.
I don't know if it's because people are streaming more and there's different networks and maybe things aren't made for TV
Mm,
anymore, and so there can be more nudity and sex and drugs and violence and all kinds of things. But I
yeah.
just watched the second season I just finished of The White Lotus. Have you seen it?
Yes, I have. Yes, I've seen both seasons too. Yeah,
So it
yeah.
reminded me because you were talking about Jennifer Coolidge.
Right. Yeah.
But again, and not nearly what you talked about with the Infinity Pool, and I did enjoy it, but you have like again with graphic sex, people doing drugs in a
Yeah.
graphic way,
Yeah.
murder, all kinds of
Yeah.
stuff going on in
All
this one.
kinds of
But
nasty stuff. Yeah, but at least I don't know. It was easier for me. It was all
yeah,
that stuff was easier to take in White Lotus.
yeah.
This is like being like like teased with somebody holding like a razor blade in front of your face and like teasing you with it, like he's gonna like slice you up, but not really going as far as actually slicing your face.
Ah,
That's what this movie felt like to me.
God, that's
Infinity
awful.
Pool. Yeah, yeah. Well, some people
Ah,
really get off on that kind of movie. I don't know what to say.
yeah. Kim says such a crazy show, but I loved it. That The White Lotus, that's on HBO Max. And Jennifer
Yes.
Coolidge, what I heard is that she is going to be in season 3 as well, which is a surprise because if you watch season 2, you think there's no way she's
Yeah.
coming back.
Oh,
How's
you know what? They may do like a prequel thing or something before what happened
Oh,
happened. They can do that a lot too. And
yeah,
she's so hot now. I mean, she's everywhere, and
yeah.
she's funny. She's great. Yeah, and she's great in White Lotus. And yeah, I was glad to hear she's going to be back. Although, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they
I
introduce or reintroduce her character. Yeah.
her character in Legally Blonde was kind of the ditzy person as well. Like she does
Hmm.
that, kind of out of touch, oblivious
Oh,
person
totally. Yep.
totally well. And she's lovable
Yeah.
for it. I've
Yeah.
never seen her interviewed in person, but I wonder, just have you ever seen her in a movie where she actually plays somebody that isn't like that?
No, never, never. And I've also seen her, off the cuff, just being herself. I think she's playing herself in all
Yeah,
these roles, or certainly an aspect of herself, because
right.
that's the way she talks in real life. That's the way she acts. She appears to be very, very ditzy. I'm sure she's very, very intelligent, but that's just her. That's just the way she comes across. But
Kim,
I saw her at the Critics' Choice Awards, and that was her. I mean, it's like
oh, okay.
that's Jennifer Coolidge, or at least that's who she wanted us to think she was. Anyway,
Kim says she's the only actress who doesn't actually have to act.
just be yourself. That's what they say in the actor's studio. Emote from that private most part that's within you, and just do it. And yeah, she would have made a great comedian of the 30s and 40s, like Carol Lombard, one of those
Right.
actresses. She would have been a big, big, big star. And she's finally coming into her own, which is really, really nice, because she's been in the business for a long
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
Randy says Stifler's mom. Yeah, she was Stifler's mom too.
That's right. She was
Yeah.
Stifler's. I forgot. Oh, that's right. Yeah. See, she's been around, but now everybody's taking notice of her, which is great. Yeah.
We're talking about nightmares and people that, those images that stick with you. We got a chat from Judy. She says, I remember when I was a child in the 70s, I saw a movie on TV that should not have been shown so early in the day. It was about a serial killer whose MO was to stomp people to death. She said nightmares over that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some things just stay with you.
Yeah. Some things just, you can never get over.
Do you
Yeah.
have one like that, in your darkest moments, those are the images that pop forward?
I remember a movie I saw. It was a movie that came out in 1960, and it was directed by Michael Powell. I think it was Michael Powell. Yeah, it was called Peeping Tom, and it was about a serial killer who he would strangle and murder, knife to death his victims, but he had a camera attached to his head, and he would film them as he was killing them.
Oh no.
That movie really, really always stuck with me. Oh God, I remember that movie like it was yesterday, and I think I only saw it once. Yeah, it was a color film that came out. It was a British film, and it was that was one of those movies for me. It's called Peeping Tom. If anybody's interested, they want to check it out.
There are times when I'm in a locker room or a gym or some type of public restroom
Yeah.
when the image of people peeping through a hole in the movie Porky's will come to mind.
Oh yeah.
Where you see people like look who's looking, like is there a little sometimes that freaks me out a little bit. We had somebody, Mo Direct writes, when I was in high school, my English teacher showed a movie Clockwork Orange. Due to an age differential, I was able to see the X-rated, missed a lottery that could have put me in Vietnam. I guess that's pertinent to you in that situation.
Clockwork Orange. I mean, Clockwork Orange is another really great movie. I mean, it's about freedom of choice, and it's about
Right.
like if we're gonna condition somebody towards societally correct behavior, are we not in fact robbing them of who they really are? So it was a very provocative movie. It was based on a great novel. It's one of Stanley Kubrick's greatest movies. But when that movie came out, boy, that was a movie too that was hugely impactful in terms of just the violence that it portrayed on screen. But what's funny is when you look at that film now, it doesn't even remotely seem as violent as the stuff that is like Infinity Pool or something like that.
Yeah,
a lot of
where
the
we went.
Right, a lot of the violence is graphic, but most of it is suggested. You don't really see it, but your mind really plays tricks on you with it. So, but Clockwork Orange, great movie. Great movie.
Talking about Jennifer Coolidge, Lee says when she was in the Best in Show, he found that one to be hilarious.
Oh, that's right. She was in that too. Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of love for Jennifer Coolidge on the chat. Last House on the Left. I don't know what that is.
Oh, that's
So,
a very, very nasty, nasty,
oh,
nasty horror movie. Yeah. If you want nightmares, Kim, play that before you go to bed.
no,
Last house
no,
on the left. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
no,
It's a
thank you.
nasty one. Yeah. Okay.
All right. So, any series that you're watching now that you think are worthwhile?
No series. I mean, I was struck by the Oscar nominations
Okay.
that came out. There were two big surprises for me in this year's awards in the Best Actress category. Were the inclusion of Andrea Riseborough for a movie called To Leslie. I've never seen it. It's a drama about this single mother who turns to alcoholism after she uses up all the prize money she won in the lottery.
Oh,
That was the surprise. The inclusion of her, because I had never
okay.
even heard of the movie, and then the exclusion of Danielle Deadwyler, who played Mamie Till Bradley, the mother of Emmett Till in that
Uh-huh.
movie Till. Yeah, so those were the big surprises. Do you have any thoughts on who you think's going to win? Anything?
I don't know. I have no idea. I'm working on now. I have to go back and watch all these movies because I've missed them. My next movie, I think, other than the one you mentioned today, You People, is going to be Everything Everywhere All at Once. I haven't seen that yet, so I'd like to
I'm
get
re-
on board.
yeah, I'm really really interested in knowing what you think of that. Yeah, that's a movie that is obviously striking it's making a big impression on people, and people are really really embracing it. I admired it and I thought it was creative, but I thought it was a little overrated. It was a little
Oh,
overlong, but
okay.
it's interesting because I think that's going to be a lock. I think that's going to win Best Picture. I have a feeling based on what I'm hearing from Academy members who are voting
Right.
and blogs and things and other websites that are sort of like have the pulse on this. That would be, if I had to bet in a pool, I would say that's going to win Best Picture.
That's
Yeah.
going to be the one, huh?
And I'm really interested in knowing what you think of it when you do watch it.
Okay. All right. We'll
Okay.
meet
All right.
here next week and we'll talk a little bit about that. Hopefully, Nikki will be back.
Yeah, I
Tim
hope.
Sika, I love you. Every Friday at 1:30, you're going to come in and you're going to lift us up to the end of the week as we head into
uh,
the weekend with these awesome movie reviews.
well,
And you
thanks, Kim. Thank you.
always I don't want to say get it right because I know everyone has a different opinion,
Right. Well,
but
yeah. No
your
such thing.
words
Yeah.
always, I don't know if they influence me or if we're on the same page, but I always seem to agree with you.
Well, I like to think of it as great minds thinking alike. What can
Okay,
I
we'll
say?
take it
Okay. Well,
that way.
let's leave it there. Yeah. Okay,
Absolutely.
Kim.
Tim Sika, you are awesome. How do people find you and your movie reviews? Can
Uh,
we get to you online?
Yes, celluloiddreams.net. I'm also on SoundCloud at Tim Sika, Celluloid Dreams, the movie show. They can catch all my stuff on SoundCloud. So, yep.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
Great,
Have a
great
great
talking to you,
weekend.
Kim. Okay, you too. Thanks. Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you. Thanks to Tim Sika. Thank you to Maureen Langan for popping in for a while as well. And thank you for the wonderful conversation that you guys have had in the chat. I so appreciate all the comments today and participating in the conversation. Thank you for helping me this week make this wonderful experience. I appreciate that. And all the donations as well. You guys are so generous, so kind. And Nikki and I really appreciate it as well. So we will end the show, as we often do, with Jacob giving us a little singing on the way out on this Friday. Have a great weekend, everybody. And thanks for being here.
Nikki, you're all so awesome. You're sprout like a beautiful blossom. You're also the best. I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.
Wow. Okay.